Hey everybody, Travis here. Got this from the basement of my in-laws. It's a 1981 Honda Express SR. As you can see, it's, for any of you who are familiar with this, it's disassembled for the most part right now. I do have majority of the parts. I believe I have almost everything. There's the front fender and basket. Over here we've got all the foot pieces and front light and several other things. What I'm doing right now though is I'm changing the tires. I want to paint this front rim, and the back rim had been painted black. To get the back wheel off was pretty easy. I don't know how. This was already disconnected, but it is in the manual how to disconnect this. But it's very easy. Just unscrew that once this is disconnected. In the front, on this 81 SR, there's a couple things you got to do. The speedometer goes in here. You got to unscrew this little screw right here, which this is obviously old and was pretty rusty, so I'd hit it with some PB, and then that pulled out. And then here, the brake line goes through here, hooks into this piece here. But there's a nut, tensioner type nut here that you can see. That was rusted very heavily, so I had to hit that with some PB, let it sit overnight, and then I vice gripped it right here and got this to start turning. And once you back it off all the way, you can disconnect it from here. And then the next step will just be to unscrew the axle here, take it off, and then I'll paint it, take this tire off, and put it back together again. But what I'm doing right now is I've already done one wheel. Here's the old tires, probably original to the bike. They have a tube inside, so I had to get it off, which was kind of a struggle. I've got the new one on. I actually saw this online that you can use zip ties to put it on. I was kind of skeptical, but just kind of put the zip ties around the tire, make it really tight, as tight as you can get it. And then it takes a little manipulation, but you can get it on there. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna snip these and then inflate the tire. And I bought some grease. I'm gonna grease this right here. This rear axle, I'll put the back tire on, and then I'll go ahead and take the front tire off and do that again. So hopefully I'll be able to shoot a little video for you of that process. I didn't really start shooting obviously till I got this far, so I apologize, but this is not too bad to do. You just unscrew this screw here, like I said, back off this nut as much as you can on the brake tensioner, and then at the end here, this little ball goes into there. You got to get it out of there, and then pull everything back through till the wire can come through this little thing here. I'll show you how it goes back together again when we get to that step. Also, I figure this is worth telling you because I had to search around for wrenches. As you can see, this is a number 12 metric. I think that's 12 millimeter is what this screw uses. Okay, it's also the same, or not, and it's also the same that the valve stem nut is 12. Okay, I'm getting ready to inflate the tire, and it does say 25 pounds on the tire, max PSI, but I do happen to have the original owner's manual for this, which is cool. And it says the front tire should be 21 and the rear tire 24. Okay, so I did get the wheel off, and as you can see, this one has like a big bolt that goes through it. I put it all back on so that it won't lose any pieces, because there does appear to be like a little seal possibly there. I'll be greasing all this up once we get it all back together, but for now I'm gonna just kind of keep it all like that, and I am gonna sand this all and paint it with some spray paint. Last thing before I paint it, I just want to note, this is where the drum was. The drum just came right off. The brake, I should say, drum brake mechanism came right off once the wheel came off. So just make sure you keep that handy and remember, you know, basically this is the direction it went on. All right, guys, we moved outside. It's May 1st, by the way. It's a beautiful day here in Maine. I've got some Lime Away, CLR, whatever you want to call it. It's for calcium, lime, and rust. And I sanded this pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna go nuts. I got the thing for free, and yeah, it's probably gonna be worth $1,000 when I'm done with it. I've already got a couple $100 into it. In the meantime, we're gonna spray this. All right, it's all dried up, and I leave the old tire on there just so I can flip it over and paint both sides all in one little swoop. Paint primer, the good stuff. All right, she's all painted, a couple coats, and let it dry. Tomorrow I'll take that tire off, put on the new tire, and remount it. And I may show you how to take that off and put on the new tire. All right, guys, while that's drying, I just wanted to give you a quick little how I did the tire. May not be the best way, but worked for me on the first tire, which you can see is on over here. I got a new tube. They do have a tube. It's a Moose Racing motorcycle tube. I got this and the tire from a local power sports company. Set of tires with the tubes was about 113 bucks. These are Bridgestones. The tire size is a 2.75 by 10, if you can't read it on yours. What I just did is, and I'll do it in a second here, is I put the tube inside the tire and inflate it slightly. You don't need to fill it up, just enough for it to stay inside the tube, inside the tire. And then I did the zip ties, which I'll show you in a little bit. All right, so as you can see, I do have the tube in there. You can use like a bike pump for this if you want, but you're gonna want something else when it comes time to inflate it once it's on the wheel, because a bike pump, at least the one I was using, wouldn't really fit in there well. There wasn't enough room here to get it in there, so I just used like I got a little compressor with a air chuck, but it does fill it fast, so you got to be paying attention. As you can see, just enough. This is not inflated very much at all, just enough to have it kind of suck into the rim a little bit there and be out of the way when you put it on the wheel. So I didn't have any zip ties handy that were long enough, so just combine two and you stick it around like this. You're going to tighten it down. What you really want to do is just make this tight all the way around like that, okay? You're going to pull it like that. All right, guys, I got like 6 of these on there. You can do more if you want. It only takes like 30 seconds to do each one, maybe a minute. And but I think that's good. You want to put more, go for it. But you can see I got maybe a little bit more tightening to do, but pretty well tightened there. Obviously I'm gonna unscrew the valve stem cover and then also take off this little retainer there before I put it over the wheel. And then when it goes back through the wheel, I'll put it back on. All right, so it's the next day, everything's dry. First thing you're gonna wanna do is If you haven't done it already, just take off the little nut here. If it's too tight, it's 12 millimeter, as I mentioned before, I believe. So take that off so that everything can come off nice and easy and come free when it wants to come free. Do that, and then what I did, I'm sure there's other ways to do it, is just like regular old bike tire tool, tire removal tool. And you kind of go in here, you're gonna go in here and like wedge it out and get it to come on the other side of the rim, and then just work it all the way around until it comes out. And then you got to get the backside off too, and then it should come off. So I'm gonna do that. I'm here alone, so probably won't be able to film that part, but that's exactly what I'm gonna do. See if we can get some shots. This one gave me a little bit more trouble just getting it started, so I used a screwdriver on top of this, kind of like that, down inside to pull it outside. Now that I get outside, like I said, you work your way around to get it off the wheel. All right, so that's half is off. And the next trick is getting this up over that ridge and on the other side, and then same thing. Well, that went much easier than my last one, actually. Get the tire off, and we'll clean this up just a little bit, just because it's off, might as well. And then we'll put the tire on. All right, we're getting ready to put this on. One thing you got to remember is which side is going to be facing out. This is where our brake is going to go in, so the tire is going to spin this way, and you want to check your tire and see, oh, right here, rotation is going to be this way, so we actually need to spin this tire around. Okay, so make sure your tire's in the right way for the direction it's going to be spinning. It's going forward, which is like this. There's my hole. I try and get my hole roughly in the same spot as where the stem's gonna be. Just kind of start with one edge, get one edge in there. Push it in there. Hopefully I don't drop my camera. She's on there. All right, now we'll cut all these off, put the little screw on there, and inflate this tire. All right, just a reminder, front tire pressure should be 21 PSI. We got a little ways to go. Not too far though. All right, getting ready to put this all back together, and I'm gonna put some grease in here. Anywhere where you see metal to metal like that, I would imagine we'd want to have some grease. You know, you get that there, and you get this little area here. That, in my opinion, should have some grease. So we're gonna put some grease on it. I got some marine grease that I use on my little boat. It works great for cars and stuff like that too. I already lubed up that back hub there, kind of where the metal meets the metal. And sorry, so I'm gonna take this out, get some grease right in there, and then we'll put it back on. All right, so we're gonna put this on. I got my trusty assistant here. Go ahead and lift that right up, bud. There you go. Lower it down. Right there, right there. So it goes through there. This goes through here. Lift it up a little bit, bud. There we go. Put that through there. And that should be just about like that. Yeah, that looks right. All right, so we'll tighten that on there and reassemble everything. I got the wheel on, then I realized something that I figured I'd share with you guys. The brake here, I thought I had it in roughly the right spot, but as you can see, I can't move it any more forward. I need to move it just a little bit more to get that speedometer attached. I'll spin it here so you can see. There's this spot here on the brake, okay? And there's like this little tab there too. That slot, I believe, is supposed to go in that groove. So I'm gonna pull this back off real quick and, pull this off real quick and get that aligned up. Okay, as you can see, I now have that little metal piece in that groove, and I'm very confident that this is in the correct place now. Speedometer should go right in here. It's kind of shaped a certain way, so it can only go in one way. Get it right in there, and then screw down that screw. All right, this speedo gave me a little more hard time than I expected. Let me tell you why. Inside this part, there's a metal shank that comes out. It's basically lined up this way. You can see it through the hole. You can see it when this isn't in there. And then inside here, there's a little receptacle for it, basically. What I determined is that receptacle inside this is actually tweaked just a little bit. So I stuck in a little tiny screwdriver, straightened it out, and was able to get it to go on. But it took a little bit of time to realize that's what it was. So in case anybody's having that same problem, that was the fix. All right, the speedometer's in, as I think I've already shown you. A few days later now, I'm just getting back to working on this and trying to get this brake cable reattached right here. The way it works is you got this nut here that tightens and loosens the tension to adjust the brake, and then this little boot goes on the other side of it. The issue is that you got to get the cable through there, and the cable's only the very end of this. So as you can see, what I've done is I've wound this spring off the end. It's really been causing me a problem with being able to slide this up enough to get it through there. And all I did was I just got the little leading edge of this spring over the end of this little drum type thing, and then I just turned it, and instead of taking it off all the way, I left a little bit on, so that all I got to do is turn it back down. I don't know, again, as I've said, I know I've said this before, and apologize if it's repetitive, I am not a bike mechanic. I don't know what I'm doing, but this seemed like the best solution, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this on there like that, and I think the next thing you'll see is that it has worked. Okay, so I wish I would have done that like an hour ago. That literally took me like 10 seconds to get that on there now. So now I'm gonna push this bolt through. Now that I can get this through all the way, you know, you get this through, I can screw this back on, reattach this here, and then adjust. Sorry, but I'm doing this on my phone. And then adjust the tightness of the brake cable once I get it all back on. Well, nothing's easy on this bike, it seems. I got it on there, but boy, gave me a run for my money. One thing I do want to note, just make sure this is as loose as you can possibly get it. This nut here. Mine had some rust build up there that was kind of keeping it from going all the way back, so I hit it with some WD-40. Vice gripped it here and used a wrench here to turn it all the way back. But even still, getting that to go in there was not easy. And now I'm going to tighten this up and adjust that brake. Put some tension on that spring so that will push that back out every time. And we'll move on to the next thing. I want to take a quick second to talk about different things you might need to do this job. These vice grips came in handy, big time. Different wrenches, pliers, flathead screwdriver. This screw on that speedometer is a small Phillips head, so I had to use a smaller Phillips head screwdriver to get it off without stripping. PB, WD-40, and most importantly, you're definitely gonna need a couple beers to get it done. Thank you, Free Flow IPA. But now I'm gonna go to the back brake here. Like I said earlier in the video, I did not disconnect this back brake, so I'm not 100% sure how this works yet. This is the back brake where it's going to be connecting right here. I'm guessing this little ball is going to go inside there, and that's what's going to determine the pull. But again, I'm not exactly sure how that goes in. That could be very easy, could be a pain in the ass. I got an extra beer just in case. Okay, so this is kind of how the brake looked when I got here. I've been kind of trying to figure out how to get this in here for a little bit, and I think I figured it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all the way off. I think it probably comes all the way off, and then that like barrel thing doesn't screw, it just slides on and off. So now I can pull this cable. Oh, I don't know if I can do it without any hands, but I'm going to pull this cable back that way, put the little barrel thing in there, slide the rod through, and screw that back on. I think that's going to work. Well, guys, I was right. I may not have this set up exactly right. We're going to play around with it for a little bit. I'm guessing this little rubber thing holds this here, but there's a chance that this is supposed to be on this side, and I'm not quite sure yet. But I'm going to tighten this all up, pull the brake handle, see what happens, play around with it a little bit. See if we can make this thing stop. All right, doing a little more investigating. I'm not sure if you can see inside here, but right here, there's a little hole that this cable is going to come through. Okay, and this kind of holds everything into position once you get it there. So, but I get that there. Okay, getting that in that groove there, that little groove in behind this piece of metal here was a big part of this working. Got a little more tightening to do to get it tighter, I think. It's got a little bit too much play up here in the handle, but definitely almost there. So I'm pretty pumped that I figured that out. Seemed pretty self-explanatory, but in case you weren't sure, this is the tensioner. Here you just turn that. If it's really tight, you use a wrench, but it tightens onto that, pulls the brake a little bit more, and then as you can see, we got kind of about what we want now. And I think she's ready to roll.